you are only powerful if you can control and contain the power you have.
Until you discover your purpose, you cannot shine in another man's assignment. I'm going to say that again. Until you discover your purpose, you cannot shine in another man's assignment. Now, listen to me. There's a difference between fulfillment and accomplishment. You can be accomplished and not fulfilled.
The first time I hit $1 million, I told myself, you know what? I can make it 10. And you keep on pushing.
You grow your business to a point that expansion is with ease. You don't even know you're expanding.
If your dream doesn't make you wake up at night, it's not good enough.
There's your main business, and trust me, if you're creative, there are other small businesses around your main business. So do them as well.
So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Shogo and Mr. Jack Chadukwa. Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir.
Thank you for having me.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Deep Dive Sessions. My name is Mpamo Tauro. Our goal with this show is to bring you and I in proximity to the people and ideas that will show us that it is possible and it can be done, and eventually help us achieve on our dreams and on our goals. Today we have a special panel of guests. Actually, this is the first of its kind right here on Deep Dive, where we have more than one guest, and we have a Forbes edition, and I'm joined by two gentlemen. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Shogo and Mr. Jack Chadukwa. Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir.
Thank you for having me.
So for the people that are watching us, because they know, because of the intros we just made, kindly just introduce yourself to our audience on Deep Dive and just let them know what it is that you do. I'll start with you, Mr. Chadukwa, and then we can go to Mr. Shogo.
So proximity, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Close proximity. So my name is Jack Chadukwa. First of all, I identify myself as a preacher.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
So I'm a Seventh-day Adventist preacher, and I'm a businessman, entrepreneur.
Yes.
Yeah, so for me, what comes first is basically the preaching side of things. I think I became a preacher before I started doing business. So I always ask myself a question: what comes first? Should I be identified as a businessman? That one can end, but being a preacher of the gospel, I think for me it's more prestigious. So I'm a CEO for Afritechnics Industries. Afritechnics Industries is a joint venture company between Enso Corporation, a company that I founded in Zambia, and we have a joint venture with our partners out of Italy. They are called Itao Technics. So we are involved in industrial engineering, energy, water treatment, green hydrogen. We're moving with time, We're talking about issues of climate issues. So we are doing something very, very interesting. We are doing a prototype. It's our own solution where the excess energy from hydroelectric power plants, we produce hydrogen out of it. So which is like green hydrogen. So we're very, very, engineering, a cutting-edge engineer and energy company. And of course, Enso Corporation has been around, and so Enso actually means EN is energy, the same EN is engineering, SOL solutions. So it's basically Engineering Energy Solution Corporation.
Okay.
So we're involved in hydroelectric engineering. And that's why we got our partners out of Italy. And through that good relationship, we tried to form a joint venture company which is owned by Italy and Zambia. And I'm privileged to be the CEO for that company.
Nice.
So in both countries.
Number. Awesome. Mr. Shogo.
Oh, I also forgot to tell you, Enso is also in America. So Enso is also in the US. So we're in the US, we're in Zambia, we're in South Africa, and then So Enso, which has a joint venture with the Italians, is both in the US, South Africa, and Zambia. Then the joint venture company, which is owned by two companies, the Zambian company and the Italian company, we're in Zambia and in Italy.
Okay.
And I lead all these countries.
Awesome. Group of companies, eh?
But forget about everything else I've said. I'm a preacher.
Hallelujah. Yeah, we're gonna get into the spirit for sure. Even with Dr. Shogo, I know we can go there. Eh? Yeah, Dr. Shogo, let us know a bit about who you are and what you do.
All right, my name is Dr. Shogo. I'm a peak performance coach. I've done this for 17 years. 17 years. So peak performance. I'm also a global corporate trainer. I consult for organizations, or I've consulted for organizations cutting across oil and gas, telecoms, banking sector, just name it, shipping, aviation. So I'm a human development specialist. I help in human development, human capacity development. I'm also an emotional intelligence coach, certified from the US. I'm a conference and keynote speaker. I've spoken in over 15 countries. Just last week, I was speaking to the parliament of Uganda. Yes.
Nice.
Yes, so I've been around for a while, and my core passion is just seeing people move from where they are to where they ought to be. I help people connect the dots. So I consult for individuals and organizations.
Oh, lovely. And I think for a lot of people that are watching us right now, they are looking at you and they see that you have a lot of.
Oh, I didn't mention that I'm also a member of Forbes Coaches Council.
Yes, very important. Very important. And so for you that have years in work, 17 years, many years in work and in business. Yes.
This gentleman is my brother.
Yes.
Yeah, this gentleman is my brother. I've been doing that. I've been actually running my own company for 17 years as well.
Okay. Oh, 17.
17 years.
So we have a lot of similarities.
You have a lot of similarities.
Firstborn, I'm the firstborn. 17 years of doing that. Our own stuff. I've been doing that for 17 years as well.
Yeah. Except me too, eh?
You were a baby that time, so. You're like 9 years old.
Yeah, I was somewhere there, not far. Anyway, so how were you able to get into this space? A lot of youngsters struggle with finding their purpose, their calling. That thing that really pushes them in the space where they're going to perform better. Because all of us have something in us innately that makes us really stand out. God has placed this in us. And so how were you able to find your calling, your work, your life's work as it is? I'll start with you, Dr. Shogo, then we can come to Mr. Chadukwa.
So I'm going to say this. Until you discover your purpose, you cannot shine in another man's assignment. I'm going to say that again. Until you discover your purpose, you cannot shine in another man's assignment. There are a lot of things that are pointers to our purposes. But because most times we're noisy internally, we're not sensitive, or you want to do what somebody else is doing, whatever you do with ease is a pointer to your purpose. Whatever people say you are good at is also a pointer to your purpose. Whatever you are also angry about
that bothers you.
Could be a pointer to your purpose. Unfortunately, the subject of purpose is not taught in school. So which means a lot of us as individuals, we need to do and go on that inner search to what is my purpose. Your purpose gives you fulfillment in life. Now, listen to me. There's a difference between fulfillment and accomplishment. You can be accomplished and not fulfilled. We've seen people that are accomplished. You have all the Bentleys, you have all the duplexes. They still commit suicide. And you're wondering, this guy has it all. Why is it? He's accomplished, but there's a vacuum because it's not fulfilled. There's an emptiness. So purpose actually gives fulfillment. I'll leave the rest for my brother.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to say exactly what he has just said. For me, it's about identity. Identity. Who are you? If you go to look at people that have messed up, in this life. People don't know who they are. So every morning when you wake up, you should be looking at this. This.
Your
Every morning,
fingerprint.
just look at this. Then you realize to say, only you have that. You can sign your signatures, right? But wherever you go, they'll say, thumbprint, right? Your national ID, whether you know how to sign, there's something common between the educated and the uneducated. They'll tell you, put on that ink and then. Why? Because this, only you have it. Which makes you unique. There is no other person like you. But you see, we waste time trying to become others. But can you imagine how God feels? He looks at you and then says, look, even people who don't believe in God, for example, they won't explain how this is different from any other person. That's why evolution for me from there just falls down, because I'm thinking to myself, what kind of accident that could be like this, where all of us have got our own identities? Like, you can have your thumbprint, which shows you that actually your own identity is best in God himself. Now, you need to know also who that God is. I don't know. I believe I'm talking to an audience which believes in Christ. For me, that is where I start from. I ask myself a question. Who am I? Why am I here? So if I'm this different, my question is, why should I live an average life? Why should I? You know, we all look about this uniqueness and everything. Look, we have got different kind of phones here. And I think iPhone people like myself, we always want to feel like, oh, you guys use Android. Android is for every phone. You know what I mean? But us, we're iOS. Why are we trying to do that? It's because Apple had decided to be on a class of its own, right? And we feel proud of that. Now, guess what?
You want to identify with it.
But the class that you have, it is not made by human beings. It's made by God. Now, you need to understand that the moment you know your identity and you realize how unique you are, then how you live your life will be different, because you're approaching life differently. Now, because we are that different, it means that all of us have got a purpose that God has put us here on. The other thing I need to talk about, I think I mentioned in my preamble that I have an office in the US and also in Italy. This is a white man places, right? But I'm black, just like you are. And the question is, by the way, today people are still talking about colonization, right?
Yeah.
Colonial masters, and a white man is a bad man. There are people who still think that actually a white man is what? But for me, those are the areas that I operate in. I'm a CEO to white people. Now, they don't look at the color. They look at the value I'm bringing to the table. So once you develop that value, no one can actually even play the racism card on you, because your life should be beyond color, race, culture, ethnicity, and everything, because God is above all these things. Who is your father? So for me, I identify myself with God, and I say, look, you are my father. You are the creator of America. You are the creator of Germany. You are the creator of Botswana. That's why I can come here and speak to you. I don't care what you think about me. This is my father's land.
Yes, sir.
Call me Zambian. It's just official. God tells me, you are my child and you're on earth. As long as we are on earth, my friend, you are my brother, you are my sister, and we can do business. And we can do anything we want. We can interact. And I have also observed to say, my closest friends are not even black people, by the way. My best friend is a guy called Michele Mengaloni. He's out of Italy. That guy thinks like me, and we're partners. Like, if you call him now and ask him something, he can literally almost answer you this. If you called at the same time, we may actually give you almost the same answer. He's a guy who believed in my vision. When I was telling this guy, can we put up a joint venture company? Other guys never believed, oh, Africa, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know, my friend, this is what it is. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, AfriTechnics, the company that I had, a joint venture with those guys, made them last year in November to win an export award out of Italy because of that company. And we have signed the biggest deals ever with them under Afritechnics, my initiative to join companies between Enso and themselves. When I was putting up that idea, obviously people were thinking to themselves, what is this? But now, that guy bought into my vision. Right now, the entire group in Italy came to buy into that vision. But that guy is a white guy. I'm black. He's more of my brother than even the so-called brothers in Zambia. So by the end of the day, for me, once you put your trust in God, don't laze around, do your part. Don't allow mediocrity. Here in Africa, we are very comfortable with mediocrity. We feel, and all of us, by the way, sorry, I'm taking a longer time, but let me try to dive into this. In Africa, we are too apologetic about life. Very apologetic. Do you know that here in, I don't know about Botswana, but like in Zambia, if I went to buy a car from a showroom, people will sit you down, but they're cheap cars in South Africa. You can drive one from South Africa at half the price. I always ask those guys questions, like, okay, so these showrooms are for who? These shops are made for people. So in this life, there's nothing expensive. You just need to afford it. Okay? So someone will say, Gucci is expensive, Louis Vuitton is expensive. No, it's meant for people. But be that person who should be able to afford it. So by the end of the day, God has given us everything. We are blessed as a continent. We have everything. We have the brains. We have the natural resources. But we need to stand out there and be counted and be able to say, you know what? God have given us this. We have been given, all of us, dominion. So how come dominion is from the West? Dominion was given to mankind. And we need to stand up and be counted. Hallelujah. After all, we have everything here.
Hallelujah. Yes, sir.
Amen.
Yes, sir. That was good. That was good. That was good. Yeah. The man is a preacher also. So it definitely...
Sorry, I forgot. I almost get to someone.
While going there, which was good. And so as a human being, there's the way you look at yourself and perceive the world determines a lot about how you go and how far you will not go. So you touched something that I actually wanted us to get into. The reason why we are okay with accepting mediocrity, the reason why not seemingly okay with accepting mediocrity and just subpar things and not shooting for the stars. I wanted to ask you both, how does an individual develop the spirit of excellence? And that spirit to say, when God said, have dominion on this earth, how do we develop that spirit and that culture? Yes.
All right. So I tell people that excellence is not a gift. Excellence is an attitude. Excellence is a lifestyle. There's a test called the test of universality. What makes a shoe in Botswana, and if that shoe gets to London, it fails the test of being a shoe, then that shoe is not excellent. What makes you a businessman, a businesswoman in Botswana, and you get into another country and you are not passing the test of being a businessman, then it means you're not excellent. Because excellent and excellence is universal. Excellence is not a respecter of color. Excellence is not a respecter of religion. Excellence is not a respecter of race. Everybody, irrespective of their race, their culture, is attracted to excellence. So I am surprised when people feel they are victimized because I'm not a native of that town. No. If you are excellent, you possess. And in every industry, there's something called standard of operation, which is the yardstick for excellence. So the question is, I don't want to meet the standard of operation. I want to exceed. There's something I call ABCD, going above and beyond the call of duty. What makes you extraordinary in life is a little extra added to the ordinary. So you want to ask yourself, okay, let me give you a story briefly. I'm going to be very sharp about it. One of the best private universities in Nigeria is called Covenant University. So several years ago, I had a presentation, a seminar called The Art of Selling Yourself. It was a masterclass. It was a paid class. 24 hours to my presentation, the VC called me and said, Doc, 40 professors are going to be in your session. Do you know what it means for 40 professors to be sitting down under your presentation? I checked my slides again. There was nothing I could remove. There was nothing I could add. I realized that it was already fit for 40 professors. That's excellence.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chadukwa, for you, how do you develop that spirit of excellence?
I was just trying to take you back to identity. I'll just maybe expand on that.
Yes.
When you look at things around you in terms of nature, it's quite beautiful, right? Yeah. And when you go back to the Genesis story, whenever God was creating, he was saying, and it was what?
It was good.
And it was very good. God had to do a good job in creation. When you look at yourself, do you know how complex a human being is? You as a person. First of all, how do you even explain how we are formed? Mother, father, that process. How do you explain? How two liquids come together and then you got the eyes and
nose bones,
and then you start talking.
Yeah.
And we're here talking.
Mystery.
Ask yourself, come on. The Bible says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That alone should show you that you were not created in mediocrity.
Mm.
Your creation itself is excellent. But how come in terms of execution of this creation now, do you know how much you disappoint God? Can you imagine now, fearfully made and wonderfully made, but in terms of that product, is now acting below par. For me, you need to understand that your uniqueness in terms of you as a person doesn't actually permit any form of mediocrity.
Mm.
So the difference between successful people, be it in business or otherwise, is just in the excellence which my brother talked about. Let me tell you something about myself under maybe a minute or so. I didn't really plan to become an entrepreneur. I don't know whether you're following me. It's not really like my desire. Actually, when I was growing up as a child, my dream was to become a Bank of Zambia governor. I started practicing how to sign a good signature when I was like in my fourth grade, actually third grade. Like I would get them the banknote and then sort now like put.
You do your thing.
I would tell myself, one day I'm gonna sign on those monies, and that was so. All my growing up, I was like telling myself, you know what? One day my signature will be on the Bank of Zambia banknote. That's how I grew up. And guess what? I grew up in the village, by the way. I wasn't privileged. My mother and my father never got married, and there was that kind of confusion. I was raised like in 12 homes. There was no direction. I was a Pentecostal, I was an Adventist, I was an atheist, I was a Catholic, I was all this kind of blend. Like, I didn't have direction by there, so I didn't have that kind of privilege. So I grew up in a village whereby seeing a car during our time was like you run away from the car, right? That's the kind of environment I grew up in. But the thing is, the time when all those things were happening, that's when I was actually thinking of becoming a bank governor. Can you imagine? So, people obviously told me, you're crazy, all right? But fast forward, I came to live with my stepmom. Obviously, now dad picked me up, and then she was one of those bad ones, But now we're the best friends, by the way, with my stepmom. And all the dream of being a governor shattered because my life became even more hard when I came into the city. So fast forward, I ended up now with changing priorities in terms of what my career path would be. Of course, I began by becoming a preacher, and then, of course, through preaching, favor just came in and all that stuff, and then found myself, my last job was a general manager for a company. However, when I was working, I worked for all the organizations I worked for, like they were my own. I used to put my life to that, to the point whereby the company owner told me to say, Jack, I don't think you are worth working for me anymore. Look, I felt like I was being fired. Like I said, but what have I done? You try to explain yourself to your boss, like, what have I done? What is happening here? He told me, look,
you're too good.
You have executed your duties beyond what you're assigned to do. Up to now, by the way, I don't believe in a knocking off before work is done. Okay? God gives us 24 hours in a day, all right? In these same 24 hours, some people have made billions and billions of pounds, pullers, dollars, kwachas, nairas, and all that kind of stuff. Each day that you are given is a gift from God. You need to use it because, let me tell you something. Today is what? What's the day today?
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 7th. Are you aware that there will never be Tuesday the 7th, 2024, ever again? Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is once this day is gone, guys, it is gone. If you have not used it properly, just know that you have lost your life. So because I was good at that, so my boss told me, you know what? Because of your hard work, your excellence in the execution of your duty, I would like you to come up with a business idea. You and I will be shareholders in that new company. You'll be a CEO, I'll be a chairman.
Interesting.
So I said, okay. Within 1 week, I gave him a business idea. Unfortunately, the man died. He had cancer before we could even execute the business idea. And 2 weeks before he died, he called me by his bedside. He was in South Africa for medical, then he came back to Zambia, and then he called me in his bedroom. I entered my boss' bedroom. He was one of those like top richest guys in Zambia those days. And then I was in his bedroom, and the manager just left me with something, a blessing. Said, Jack, what you and I discussed, I don't think I'll make it now. I've been to the very specialized hospital in South Africa. They brought me back, which simply means I won't make it. But I want to tell you something, young man. You are destined for greatness because you have the right attitude towards life. And if you can do this for my company, if you can be this good in my company, then I wonder how good you'll be in your own company. And guess what? Before he died, my name appeared in his will. Yeah, my name appeared in his will. And unfortunately, families, of course, they hated me already because the love which I had, it was quite good love. And then they felt like, my love, the love that was given me was supposed to be, theirs and all that. You know how it is. So I became like a Joseph, in the Bible where my brothers had to sell me and all that kind of stuff into Egypt. Yeah. But for me, when that happened, I told myself, the blessings I'm supposed to get from this company, all those words. So now what I need to say here is that you can never be, if you are useless at work right now, don't try to become an entrepreneur. Because the hours you put in your day job need to be tripled when you're running on a business. Because right now, I can give an excuse to my boss if I'm working and tell them I'm sick, and I can talk to the doctor, friend of mine, to say, man, give me a sick note. They will do that. We do that, especially here in Africa. But and still get paid, which is basically fraud when you think about it. There are people who get paid salaries when their performance is below par. You are stealing from employers. And there's no way God can bless you when you're a thief. So when you put your all, you are extremely excellent in what you are doing. It won't require, people see, by the way. People see, like my boss saw. And today, I can tell you that actually I work harder more than I worked when my boss saw that. Because every time I'm thinking to myself, this man told me I'll be very successful. I know the dead know nothing and they can't see what I'm doing, but I still told myself that was an affirmation that I just have to succeed in this life.
Lovely.
But when I was doing it, I wasn't doing it for anything. It was just me because I knew my identity. I knew that I was fearfully and wonderfully made by God. And the end room of mediocrity was basically out of. To this very day. For me, I'm a very detailed person. It doesn't matter what it is. If you give me what you call a small assignment, I'll go deeper in that assignment because I want when work is done, people should say, this work was done by Jack.
Before we even go there, I wanted to ask this question. I wanted to pose this question and say, for a lot of us youngsters as we're coming up, confusion and all that, you're here, you're there, you're trying to figure out what it is that you like, where you want to go. And then I wanted to ask you, were you always like this, or you had a turnaround moment? Because in your life, you say that you had that gentleman who basically kind of breathed life into you in that way, quote unquote. He pushed you in that direction and helped you out. But you already had those lessons, that work ethic, because he wouldn't have said that to you if you're not producing. Did you ever have a turnaround moment? And I'm asking this question because we go through so many things. Yeah. Life throws us in many directions. You go through this, you go through that, people die, you go through loans, debts, all these things. What was your turnaround moment? And how were you able to figure out things from there? And just walk us through maybe a story where you really went, your darkest moment and how you're able to get yourselves out of it. You can take it anywhere, anybody can get to it.
All right, so for me, wonderful story and analysis, by the way. What he was talking about, which I want to share with everyone, is for you to excel as an entrepreneur. And if you're not an entrepreneur, because everybody cannot be an entrepreneur, if you're in the workspace, where either you work for government, if you want to excel, the summary of what he has said is what is called ownership mentality. You need an ownership mentality for you to excel exceptionally in anything you do. Hard work is not what you do 9 to 5. Hard work is what you do after 9 to 5. So are you willing to go the extra mile in another man's work? If you're not willing, there's no way you'll be willing to do extra hours on your own, because you can't give what you don't have. After in the Nigerian educational system, you go to nursery school, you go to primary school, then you go to secondary school. Secondary school is 6 years. My 6th year, I've always been an above average student to an extent. But my secondary school exam, my last year exam, which is like the national exam, I failed. 2 basic courses I needed to move to my next level. Maths, I failed maths. I failed physics and chemistry. I cried. You know when they say Jesus wept? There's a difference between cry and wept. I wept. But my dad came to my room that night and he said, dude, it has happened. You can't keep crying over this. So immediately, I had to re-enroll in another school and prepare to write it the following year. And I made a vow that whatever I do from this time forward, I'll put my all into it. And you know what? Success is the best form of revenge. Success is the best form of revenge. So since that time, I don't do anything with half measure. It's either I'm going all or I'm not doing at all. So that was a turning point in my life. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure teaches you something about succeeding. The real opposite of success is complacency, doing nothing. Doing That's why, the scripture says something. It said, woe unto them that are at ease in Zion. So being in a place of ease, nothing excellent comes out from your comfort zone. So I've learned to discomfort myself. I told you I've spoken in over 15 countries, and it's the truth. If you're thinking that all those countries, they invited me, no. Some of those countries, I invited myself.
Yes.
Success is proud.
Yes.
Success will not come and meet you. I wrote a proposal. Have you considered me? Look at my profile. I can speak at your conference. Some of them will say, oh, you can come, but we'll not pay for your flight. We will not pay for your accommodation. But I go, and in that meeting, I meet a CEO of a bank. They say, come. They pay me. If you don't move, nothing will move in your life.
Lovely. Lovely. What was your darkest moment, Mr. Chadukwa? And how did you get yourself out of it?
Yeah, I think for me, I think I mentioned to you that my upbringing was quite rough, right? And, I think every child needs to have your dad and your mom. So you see, my dad, my dad was my mother's first love. So actually, my mother had me when she was 19. So I could assume that my father was my mom's first man ever, in life. So I think because of that, all these are kind of bad upbringing, as it were. So mom couldn't really take care of me as much she could. So I was raised by a very frustrated mom. So the time when I came now, when dad picked me up when I was my fourth grade. By the way, what even made dad get interest to come and pick me from the village is because of the record that he got, that I was, okay, for me, I used to get depressed if I passed number 2 in class. I don't know, I had this just attitude, I think, born with it, to say, okay, why am I not number 1? So I'm not the kind of person who wants to feel less of a human when I'm given an assignment. So why is this guy number 1? So for me, it was a very good competition within myself. I fight to the very end, so I just become number 1. So my siblings in Lusaka, Zambia, were not really number 1s, like the one that he had with his first wife, or with his actual wife now. So I'm the firstborn, obviously, from between mom and dad, and then dad married someone else. So anyway, so when I was picked to come into Lusaka, I was excited. By the way, I even prayed about the Lord. I want to go to the city, you know what I mean? Because the problem that I had with my village people, none of them, so I'm Tonga, which is the southern part of Zambia, which has Livingstone, which is close to Kazungula, and that's the southern side of Zambia. So we are the ones who are cattle keepers, and all that stuff. So what used to happen was the Tonga culture was the way it was. When you're born as a child, so you become like a natural, shepherd. You're a cattle header as a child. So they'll give you...
As a male child, or just...
As a male child especially. As a male child. So they'll give you a calf and put it in the head, and then they tell you that this is yours. So when you're going out to look after to grazing and all that stuff, they're saying you're going to graze your calf. So till it grows, you're grazing the rest, of the animals. So in short, by the time when you're maybe in your 7th grade, all right, maybe you could have had 5 or 6 cows. So they create wealth from childhood, to the point whereby none of the guys from there, kids, paid attention to school, because by the time when you are a 20-year-old, how many cows do you have? So you can sell to the abattoir and all that. So the guys used to go to school up to just maybe 7th grade, all right? all what they wanted to do was learn how to say, how are you? When a guy from Lusaka come to buy the cows for the abattoirs, to know basic English and accounting that no one can cheat on your own monies.
To make the transaction.
Just to make the transaction. So education just for transaction. But like I mentioned to you, I wanted to become a governor. So I had this kind of thing. So now I was a governor among the cattle headers who just want to go up to 7th grade. So that was quite a big deal for me. So now I was praying to God to change my location. I said, look, Lord, here, there's no inspiration. So when I came to Lusaka now, after the prayer was answered, I found now, like, my stepmom. So my life became even more difficult than when I was in the village. So what I tried to do in my 10th grade, I already knew God. I was already preaching as a child. I started actually preaching as a child. So in my 10th grade, I started drinking beer in the name of frustrations.
Babylon waters.
So now I started drinking, and my life just went. Till one preacher from my church, Adventist church, came to tell me, whatever that you're doing, stop the nonsense.
How old were you this time?
I was in my 10th grade. I don't know how old I was. I mean, some of us who grew up.
I mean, when you stopped drinking?
No, I had to stop immediately. Okay. But for the first time in my life, I failed. Like, I started failing at school. And I was the number one guy, so now going down and everything. So what I discovered, what I learned from there is that life challenges should not make us, let's not make the devil win. I think what I experienced as a child is part of what I am today. Because truth be told, there's no amount of pressure that you can put on me right now, which can make me change my values. There's nothing. So I learned endurance as a child. I went through all the rough patches of life, but that has taught me even now. Truth be told, I can sit down here without having a meal. I can be talking the whole day if you want. I won't come out and say, you know what?
Please, I'm not part of that too.
To tell you that, can I have a meal? So for me, a meal comes after work is done. So I'm not the guy who's going to rush for lunch. Actually, most of the time, I even miss my lunch. But that was part of my training because when I was, we missed lunch by force when we were growing up because of, the kind of home that I was brought up in. So, and only not just a minute, but I also made a lot of mistakes in the business. So it wasn't really like the perfect one. When you are growing up as a young entrepreneur, it wasn't really common during my time to have a 25-year-old guy leave work to go and set up a company.
In fact, we have a lot of young entrepreneurs here.
Exactly.
I'd want us to even talk about the mistakes themselves.
Okay.
And how you figured it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, so in my life, I lost my businesses 3 times in the 17 years I'm telling you about. 3 times. And my 4 wasn't really like a good 4 because I really push. I do a good job in business. So, if your business is here, the impact of the 4 won't be felt. But when it is up the roof, the 4 is really big. And
how big were the businesses? How were you doing it? If you care to share.
How we do?
How big was the business? How many employees did you have? Revenue and all that?
Yeah, the first time my business fell, so 2009, due to the credit crunch. Remember, the market just fell globally. And I had a business that was literally supporting the mines. We're offering engineering services to the mines. And we are a copper mining country, and then I put all the eggs in one basket. So just mining. And in Zambia, when you work with the mines, they're very, very prestigious because that's what makes the country.
Yeah.
So for me, I defied all odds to get into that space where no one dared even to be in there. It was a big businessman kind of space. But I went in there against all odds. I want to be here. And I got there. And when I got there, I made sure that I was excellent to the point where people were thinking my company was actually run by a white man. That it was really good. It was how nicely, it was run. The time when my business fell, I had 50 employees. 50, like 50. And so the mistake that I made there I didn't buy equipment because I was a contract miner whereby I used to mine on behalf of the mine and then also transport it. So I used to have labor hire, like I used to do labor hire. So my employees used to mine. My company used to mine on behalf of the mining company. And then we pick the ore and transport it ourselves. And I used to bring trucks, like tipper trucks, move the ore from the pit up to the smelter. So that's what I was doing. Now, guess what? I didn't buy equipment. People try to tell me, buy equipment. Why should you be hiring all the time? I said, no, I don't have this kind of thing. For me, my business is moving forward. I don't want to do this. And guess what? For you to hire that equipment in mining, those who have done contract mining, you need to get into those 6 months contract. Like you lock the money, the money, and lock the equipment. Because the owner will just come and say, you know what, I want to pick up sand somewhere, so I need my trucks. So I locked my money in 6 months' time. And
6 months is a long time.
Yeah, and then even the fuel was through, an account and all that kind of thing. Good life it was, but I think my planning wasn't really done properly. So when the copper price when the global prices of everything went down, all the mines went under care and maintenance, and the copper price dropped from $8,300 on the London Metal Exchange. It went to about, I think, $2,700. So the mines could not really sustain that. So as a result, all the mines went under care and maintenance, and which simply means that the owners of the equipment kept their money, and I had none. So from a rich man to literally a poor man, because now my money was tight in the equipment. And my contract was also I used to get the money by the ton I mine and the ton I deliver. So by the end of the day, if I don't deliver anything to the mines, because the mines stopped buying, because they said, look, we cannot buy, we can't continue mining because of the issues of the pricing on the global market.
So did you then start a new venture?
So that's what is important now to say. Yeah, so now what I learned from there was you need to build business that are resilient. So don't get caught. I mean, people lost business during COVID, right? Let me tell you something. I made more money in COVID than when there was no COVID. Because I decided to change my business model, not changing the business, but the model. So it's very, very important in business as a young entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, whether you're old or young, to know exactly what you're good at. So don't tomorrow you hear that tomatoes are very lucrative and then
you rush there.
You rush to the tomatoes and then you abandon your onion business or your cabbage business. Let people know you to be the cabbage man or cabbage woman. All right? Because there are a lot of cabbages out there, but let your cabbage be the best. Then people will be coming to you.
Yes, sir.
So I didn't change the engineering side of my business. I just tried to look into something whereby, okay, for example, if the mines went under care and maintenance, I should be the guy maintaining the mines. I don't know whether you're following me. So we went into maintenance engineering now. We went into that space whereby, you know what? Because there's still another company. There was two companies that were still running because of the kind of service offerings they were putting. I was getting into a more fragile side of the mining side of things, which is the actual mining of the ore, as it were, which is more or less like, if you go to look at all the miners, it's a mafia business, right? Because even today, you guys are working with the De Beers and everything. You've been complaining over the years till now when you have now better which is like maybe 50-50 split, which is well done to the president and his cabinet for doing that. So you find actually mining itself is a very complex business. But I'm not saying it's not doable. It can still be done, but you need a far much bigger capital to do that. But for me, it was a very good learning curve for me to do that as well. And I did that, and I wanted to participate into our ore to make sure I take it, extract from the ground. So I was doing that. But what I did was to change same space, but you change, you need to identify as an entrepreneur what can keep you going even on the rainy day.
Resilience, that's resilience.
So you need to build a business that is beyond external factors. Truth be told, most of companies close whenever just some big brother coughs in America and then you guys just close down. So that's why up to now, Paul, I can tell you that because of that experience, I built product. Do you know how I did it?
Yeah, but before you go there, let me hear him on the issue of the business mistakes he made, and then we're gonna go into the solutions thereof.
He's a perfect man.
Yes.
Jesus is really perfect man. All right, so one of the major business mistakes I made, which I still find young people making, is thinking you're in business to impress people. Business is not for statement making. Yes. Let me say that again. Business is not for statement making. Business is for creating solutions and meeting needs. So they give you, why do you think a lot of startups collapse within the first 3 years, within the first 5 years? That's what statistics says, right? You get a 1 million funding, you want to buy a car, you feel I should expand. We're in Gaborone, we should be in Francistown. You expand too quickly. Instead of you to manage a 4x4 square office, you get a big office. There's upholstery. Those things are not assets. They are liability. So going into business for wrong reasons, expanding too quickly was a
When then
major.
should we expand?
So you see, it's like you are 1 month pregnant and you want to deliver before 1 month. You're going to give birth to a premature. You're going to give birth to a stillbirth. But when you take that pregnancy to 9 months, you don't need to pray.
It will happen.
All things being equal, if your village people are not after you, you don't need to pray to deliver the baby. So what I'm trying to say is, you grow your business to a point that expansion is with ease. You don't even know you're expanding. You don't even feel you are expanding. But if you're expanding and you're troubling everybody in the office, you know we are expanding. You people will not eat lunch today. We can't pay salary now. You know we are expanding. You are not yet ripe for expansion. So expanding too quickly, too soon was a mistake I made. Let me give you an instance. I do consulting.
Yes.
I rented an office. I was running overhead. Later, when I did an analysis, I realized that instead of having an office, I could pay for a virtual office and not appear there. I just use the office address to receive correspondence. When there's work, I go and do the work. So that's what I ended up doing. You want to see me physically? There are a lot of 5-star hotels around. Come and meet me in the hotel. We even buy drinks. Until I became big enough to take office space. And that office space also makes money. Yes. Because in that office space, I created a co-working space. I created a library that you can subscribe to. So these are ideas. Inside one idea lies another idea. So this is what I suggest, which he said something. He put all his eggs in one basket. There's your main business, and trust me, if you're creative, there are other small businesses around your main business. So do them as well. That's out, because the aim of every businessman, the aim of every businesswoman is to increase market share, their market share, their profit. So the topmost question is that should be on your head as a business person: how can I increase my market share? Because in business, your dominant thought influences the decisions you make in business. If your dominant thought is, how do I impress people? You use all your profit and your capital to buy cloth to impress people. If your dominant thought is, how do I impress people? So that was a major mistake I made, expanding too soon, too quick. And I told you, I've shared with you how I was able to recalibrate and bounce back.
Yes. Another big thing in Africa is black tax. I don't know if you know it, but if you could cover it, and especially in your experiences as successful business owners.
Say it again.
Black tax.
Black
tax.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, in Nigeria, we call it black tax.
Oh, black
Tax. Okay.
Even some years
Black tax.
No, black text.
Okay, black tax.
Yeah. How were you able to? Oh, yes, you can start, and then it comes to.
I'll just quickly say this. You can't save the whole world. Save yourself before you save others. Learn to say no. Don't allow people guilt trip you. Let me tell you, if you die, they will still continue. Do you know one thing I realized? The people you send money to, they eat better food than you do. Their living room, what you don't have in your living room, they have there. So black text, I've decided to take care of myself first. If it's not enough, then go and work. I know the people I'm responsible to. I'm a firstborn. My parents are important. That's all. My siblings. That any other extended family. If I give you, is out of my benevolence. It's not a right. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chadukwa.
What am I answering? Because that's it.
Yes, that's right. Okay, but let me come here. So business has cycles. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. And I think for a lot of us, during those up times, there's a quote that says, during failure, keep your head up. And during success, keep your head down. As in, don't... you need to know that these are cycles.
Yeah.
And in 17 years of both your experiences, which is 34 years cumulatively, you have definitely gone through these seasons. How are you managing the season of drought, where it's tough, where it's, you have all these bills and everything? How do you manage the seasons?
All right, what I will quickly say is what you do during your up season, during your rainy season, influences your dry season. So if you make good decisions during your rainy season, even countries have reservoir. So what's your personal reserve? So even me, in my personal life, I talk about my foreign reserve and my local reserve. You understand what that means? I keep in both. So during dry season, you can sustain yourself. But you see, a lot of times we get emotional, we get excited during your rainy season. You think it will always be rainy season, that you always be, but life is in cycle. So you have to think about the reservoir for your personal expenses, the reservoir for your company expenses. Then when during your downtime, you can keep afloat.
Yeah, I think for me, it goes back to what my good brother have just said. I think let me just use maybe another term. I think for me it's discipline. By the way, you are not disciplined when you are broke.
It means you have no money.
Don't tell me you are disciplined when you don't have money. So
What are you disciplining?
if you know you don't have money, don't come to me and talk about discipline. Are we together? So discipline comes in when you have abundance and you decide to refrain yourself. By the way, you are only powerful if you can control and contain the power you have. So you see, a lot of people, when they have the money, this is when their true characters literally show. All right? So time, especially you ladies, used to do hair in a Havaroni market somewhere. Time you say levels have changed. But you see, the person that does your hair have been doing it better for the past, whether it's 10 years. But now you have to change friends, you have to change everything, you have to change. Listen, it still remains you. With or without money, you are the same person. Are we together? But I'm not saying continue living a poor life even God has blessed you. Or what I'm trying to say here is that how you manage your finances. What is funny is this. The rich people live like they're poor, and the poor people live like they're rich. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to give an example. One time I went out for a meeting, a government meeting in Denmark. I was leading that mission. We were looking for money for government in 2015. The government wanted to get a bond, all right? I was leading that particular mission. The main mission was in Geneva, in Switzerland, but I had suggested that government would have gotten cheaper money using my connections in Denmark. Now, us who were looking for money for government, we flew economy.
You what?
We flew economy.
Oh, okay.
But the government officials who were supposed to be given the money flew business class.
Yeah.
I mean, you arrive at the same time. There's really no big deal. Economy, business. Just like what my brother was saying here, you're talking about expansion quickly. I think we get into this luxury quicker when we have the money. Look, whether I've flown business class before. So whether you see me here, do I look like flying economy or business class? There's something. When I'll show up in this meeting here, whether I came by business class, whether I came by bus, doesn't matter. I'll still speak to you, right? So there's no big deal, out there. So for me, the discipline side of things is what will keep you afloat, even because dry seasons always come, right? Because some of these things, your bills will be affected, not because of your bad management, maybe by external factors. That's what I'm saying. Some of us, obviously, over the years, in 17 years, I've learned how to, build a resilient business. But even after doing that, all right, in 2018, I started to get into a space where I'm doing something in the power sector, in the national power sector. So we do maintenance of hydroelectric turbines, which is that one, whether there's COVID or not. That's why I made more money during COVID, because there you are in lockdown, so you need to use more power. So the more power government is trying to give you, the more the machines are going down and the more jobs are given to me. You understand? So I made quite a good amount of money during that period.
But
guess what? Government changed in 2021. Government changed. Now, the new government which came in, they had to review all the contractors who were managing those high-level contracts to say, but were these guys supporting the then ruling party? Or are they our people and all that? It took us 1 year to get another contract because these guys were thinking that
you're not for us.
Maybe you're not for us, but of course, I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman and I'm a professional. And by the way, never put up a business which is linked to regime, because regimes do that, do change. Be professional, do your thing correctly. You and your God, don't trust really in humans, because these humans are limited. So all my connections I had that period, obviously in the hydroelectric sector, went because the new government had to put a new MD. The new MD had to put in new directors, new managers, new everybody. So wherever that you thought you knew went overnight. But what made us survive is that the business that we do, even those guys when they were leaving, to say, sir, as you take over from my position, don't forget this company. And the man called Mr. Chadukwa, he will make your life easier.
Yes, sir.
So the guys really left us in good hands. Now we are back into business.
Yes, sir. I wanted to touch this individually. As we wrap up, this is my last question in 60 seconds. What is your biggest advice for entrepreneurs here in Africa? What is that piece of advice that if you leave with us, you think is your biggest advice?
Go first.
Yes, sir.
I'm just talking, my friend.
Success is not overnight. Every overnight success has a minimum of 10 years investment. So you must go through the process. A lot of times, people want to jump the process. If you jump the process, your product will be bad. So success is not overnight. Success is gradual and consistency. Money respects consistency. People also respect consistent people. Show up every day. There are days you feel like not showing up. Show up every day. with time, you'll break through.
Thank you.
You want me to say something after what you've said? Anyway. You said 1 minute?
Yes, 6 seconds.
All right. So I'm a preacher, so I may speak more than that. Maybe.
Yes.
Give me 2 minutes to say something. So let me try to say something. I think my advice to you.
What does the church say?
Amen. So, for me, the advice I can give to you entrepreneurs is that all of us can become whatever that we desire to become, as long as our priorities are in the right place, and at the same time, we have God by our side. And do not be scared to try new things. The difference between the West and us, the white man and the black man, I'm talking to an African audience. The difference between us and those guys, that they're risk takers, and we are not. We are too careful to the point where we're in poverty today. We don't want to try new things and everything. So if it has never happened in this family, no one have ever gone to University of Botswana, you mean you can make it? Don't listen to people. Once you have that drive within yourself, you feel that edge, go ye therefore and conquer the world. The world is looking for people just like you. Success is actually very, 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 very stubborn. So is poverty. Yeah, so is poverty. Do you know that both success and poverty, both wealth and poverty, they're all addictive. You know that? The first time I hit $1 million, I told myself, you know what? I can make it 10. And we keep on pushing. You know, and that's the reason why this issue of resilience I talked about in business is actually being scared to fail, because where I am, I have no choice but just to succeed. You know what I mean? So, Afritech, just 1 minute. Let me just talk about Afritech, my new company. My new company, literally, we made it clear in our strategic plan with my partners in Italy. We said, guys, we are forming a unicorn. And we have no choice. In our behavior, what we do in Afritech is just, we told ourselves we're forming a unicorn. My partners are very, very, very aligned to that. In fact, I'm leading that thing, that company. We told ourselves we want to not represent Fortune 500 companies. We want to be the Fortune 500 companies.
Yes.
We don't want to take pride in other people's success. We feel good when talking about, I represent poor enterprises. But the guy did his part. I want someone to tell me to say, I want someone here to sign up to say we're representing Afritechnics. You understand? And not just in Africa, but beyond the walls and the borders of Africa. Because we told ourselves that whatever that we're going to do, we'll do things differently. We'll be unique. Our approach to business won't be like business as usual. And we are very deliberate about it. So all our actions, whenever we wake up every day when we wake up, we have that purpose to say, you know what? We are different, and we are a unicorn. So before you become, you need to envision. I don't know whether you're following me. So the dreams, when you say our dreams come true, it's not those dreams when you are really sleeping. It's the dreams when you are awake. You don't dream. The only dream that comes true when you are sleeping is that one, as men, right? Where you say, you're dreaming to wee-wee. And then you, my friend, wait for me. Let me just use the bathroom. And then you do it for sure. I think men, we have done this before when we were growing up, right? That dream comes true. But the dream that comes in, and at the same time, let me finish by saying, if your dream doesn't make you wake up at night, it's not good enough.
Yes, sir.
That's more the reason why.
I thought the preacher was dropping the mic there.
That's the reason why. That is the reason why you are going to find all these entrepreneurs, whether you ask Bill Gates and everything. Look at the time when they wake up and the time when they go to bed. They don't sleep the way you and I sleep. Why? Because they are at pains to achieve what they want to achieve. By the way, your life and my life is limited. Are we together? We have got no guarantee of how tomorrow will be. So when you're given a day like this one, do your best and be the best, because we live one day at a time. So you cannot afford to waste yourself, because today may just be the day of your success. But what you do with a day, it all depends on what you want to achieve. So where you sit today, where you stand today will determine where you sit tomorrow. And success not by chance. It's a lot of hard work. And by the way, no amount of prayer or anointing, whatever, that will make you successful. It will never happen. That's why you find that even people who don't believe in God actually have got more money than we do, because they use the principle of Jesus, which is hard work. Christ, in his 3.5 years when he was here on earth, look at what he achieved. Today we are still talking about it for 3.5 years of ministry. But him and I, you are talking about 34 years combined. Can't be compared to what Christ did. So God works and he is working. So we are not created by, our creator is not a lazy God. So we need to keep on working. And
Yes,
God only bless the works of what? Of our hands, not the sitting and doing nothing about it.
Hallelujah.
So,
Hallelujah.
go ye therefore and be creative. The problems that are around you are business opportunities.
Yes, sir.
So business is about providing solutions. So the bigger the solution you provide to the bigger problem. So the bigger the problem, the bigger the solution required, and the bigger the money.
Yes, sir.
So don't go and sort out small problems. Go there and sort out bigger problems, because bigger problems brings a bigger pay. That's how you become a multi-millionaire or even billionaires if you ought to be.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Shogo. Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Deep Dive is dedicated to bringing you the most comprehensive and engaging information about business, personal finance, and personal development. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. If you like this video, give it a like to show your support and help us reach a wider audience. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family who may be interested. Sharing helps us grow our community and connect with like-minded individuals. Leave a comment below and give us your biggest takeaway on this episode. If you're interested in being a part of our live studio audiences, make sure to register for the next show. Can't make it to the show? No problem. Check out our Patreon page to watch the full episode and get exclusive access to more great content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Deep Dive.